Hey, Maria, back with another video. It's Saturday, February 3rd, 8:36 p.m., and I was watching Gina Lynn's videos, a few of them, and it kind of got me thinking. I haven't really looked into the FISA issue. I know she's mentioned it in at least a few of her videos, and I know that apparently Trump had signed some sort of bill pertaining to this issue, which I will be looking into this because it does kind of fascinate me, and I guess in some ways it does relate to targeted individuals as far as having our freedoms, squashed, I guess is a good word for it. But I was thinking, in order for something like that to work, and like I said, I have no knowledge of any of this. I need to look into it more. But you would have to initiate some sort of system in order to make sure that people were operating and functioning in a way that wasn't going to happen. And so of course, in order to do that, there would have to be some sort of way of filtering out information and observing, the things that people actually do in order to make sure that those things are protected. There's a lot of people, okay, and there's only so many other people who could actually make sure that those systems are in place, There are already laws, that relate to something similar to that, and, people don't really pay attention to that. So it's very hard for me to have a lot of faith in anything that gets passed down. People have their own ideas as to how things are supposed to operate. And, I've worked for companies, in the past where their attitude was, well, this is my company, I can do what I want, that sort of arrogant attitude, which doesn't protect the employee. This is just an example, okay? I mean, we're talking not necessarily anything that relates to employment, but just people who want to just laws in general, okay? There's a lot of ignorance out there. I know she had mentioned that somebody had moved to 5 different countries, to get away from the targeting program, and, it is widespread. And she also mentioned Facebook, and I was thinking how Facebook and social media help spread, the word, the gossip, the malicious lies, the attacks, and these sort of things that put problems into the lives of other people. The gossip chain on Facebook is worldwide, okay? So, if something starts off in a very small place, for example, if you live in Kansas or whatever, you might live in a very small town, but what goes on, the gossip that goes on in that small town or that small community is going to be spread throughout Europe, it's going to get spread throughout everywhere, okay? So, when targets try to move, it's very difficult because everybody has already tagged a person and labeled a person. This particular person that she mentioned was kind of classified, I guess, as a terrorist, which is funny because, the ideas that people have or what I realize just how ignorant this country is. I'm referring to the United States, okay? That doesn't mean I'm bashing the United States in a way where I feel as though I'm in opposition to it, okay? Because that would be something completely different. But I will say that the average American citizen is very ignorant as to what constitutes a terrorist, okay? I suspect that I was looked upon as a terrorist at one point, or somebody who was against the United States, because I didn't go to church, okay? And, or something along those lines. There is nothing about me that would ever be classified as a terrorist, but there's a lot of ignorance out there. So anytime you try to turn a person against somebody, especially being a targeted individual, like for example, I mentioned in one of my videos about how oftentimes when they are trying to damage the reputation of a man, they will say, oh, he's a child molester, okay? Because they know that that's something that could damage a person's reputation. So if they don't have anything on you, then they're going to throw a terrorist title on you or something along those lines. And like I said, there are certain guidelines, certain specific characteristics that would actually label a person a terrorist, okay? Or somebody who, for example, somebody who is against the United States, what do they call that? traitor of a country or something like that. There are certain things that would fall into those categories, and that's not it, okay? So there's a lot of people who are just absolutely ignorant, foolish, and completely oblivious to what really the definition of certain things, okay? So a lot of it is ignorance. And then you get a bunch of ignorant people, which, you know, I was thinking a lot about how not progressive. You know, I hate to say it, but, you know, we would think that we live in a country that's very progressive, more intelligent, so on and so forth, but really, we're not. I mean, no, I'm saying we're not. I'm talking about this country, okay? And it's sad to say, but this country is not as, you know, intellectually advanced as I would like to believe, or at least I thought that they were, you know? So, you know, when it comes to things like, you know, Facebook, you have to be careful with Facebook, okay? I know that my targeting issue started like back in 2008 with very little Facebook activity, okay? And you get people, you know, gossiping, and then people, you know, spread lies, rumors, assumptions, and just like that little game at school, like when the teacher's trying to demonstrate how, you know, words get distorted, or certain things get distorted, you know. There was a game that we played in school where you're supposed to whisper in the ear of something somebody said, and you're in a circle, and by the time the circle is completed, the whole sentence is completely, you know, messed up. Like it's completely not the original statement that the person has made. And you think about all these people who get involved, and there you go, you know, and that becomes a problem. It's not that I don't, you know, I'm seriously not wondering. I'm thinking, debate every day, like on the whole issue of Facebook. And I think the idea of Facebook is good, but, you know, when it comes to targeted individuals, I think Facebook is oftentimes where people become targeted individuals, or, like I said, because of people living in different locations, the gossip, and it spreads throughout, like, you know, like wildfire. You know, she also mentioned that a long time ago there was people who may have went to school or went to work or whatever, and they may have had different views, and yet there was not this kind of vicious attack on them as there is now, you know. I'm not exactly sure why. I know growing up, you know, I knew a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mentioned I studied with them before. And I knew that, you know, kids kind of snickered at them and made fun of them and kind of thought that they treated them differently, okay? But this wasn't this huge, like, campaign of hatred against these sort of individuals as there are now. I'm not referring necessarily to Jehovah's Witnesses, but anybody who has an alternative view now is becoming, you know, a major target. I don't know if people got more bored, or is it the fact that, you know, people are becoming more angry, people are becoming more vicious. I mean, I don't know exactly how to pinpoint why, you know, these sort of hate crimes are increasing, but I will say that there's obviously, you know, proof of that, you know. No, I mean, I like Gina Lynn's videos. They often, you know, get me thinking. You know, I know she kind of picks her videos apart. You know, oftentimes her videos are of short duration. But, you know, she says a lot of thought-provoking things in them, you know. And as I was watching them, you know, it was just one thing after another. You know, you have a lot of time to think when you're a targeted individual, because oftentimes, you know, you're put out of work for long periods of time. And, well, I'm working, but still, you know, but you come home, and most of the time you're in an isolated situation. You're in a situation where you're isolated. So you have a lot of time to think. And you know, I've always been a thinker anyway, but, you know, you put the person in isolation, then you're even more, you know, your brain's just kind of churning, you know, and you start thinking about a lot of stuff, you know. I was thinking a lot today. I went up for a walk, and I was thinking about how, sad to say, but, you know, I really don't have a lot of respect for the majority viewpoint of most people, because oftentimes they're not well informed. You know, these people make decisions, they talk, they open their mouth, they say things that are based on utter And I've looked, I was thinking through the years how so much information that has become widespread has changed or been modified over the years, so that people are walking around in a state of confusion all the time, And so I've gotten to the point where I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't, so it's no wonder that I haven't heard about FISA because, I basically just kind of shut the whole world issues out, which, I know that it's not a great thing to walk around, in ignorance, but at the same time, I do believe a lot of the things that on the media get distorted or somehow, not necessarily distorted, but oftentimes it's biased opinion and whatnot. So it's really, a good idea to kind of get, information from different sources and then try to figure things out for yourself. I'm not easily swayed by just because something's the majority, the opinion of the majority, and so, I'm very grateful for that, and unfortunately, in my situation, and in any target situations, the majority is the one who decides, oh, you're guilty, and you're this, and that. But oftentimes, I would say most of the time, okay, the majority is wrong, okay? Just like when people spread rumors about a person being a terrorist, just because they don't belong to a church or whatever, they're wrong in that view, okay? But yet, there's so many people, regardless of their educational background, or how smart they think they are, who get sucked up into this bullshit, So I've gotten to the point where, I'm tired of listening to what other people say. That's not to say that I'm not open to other people's opinion, but if you can't back it up with facts, you know what I mean, or you can't back it up with some sort of logic or reason, and I certainly don't want to ever participate in gossip. It has taught me a lot about, it's confirmed a lot of the things that I've often thought about myself, but it has even made me even more determined to not be a part of this bullshit culture that we have. I mean, it's crap. It is. It truly is. That's not to say that I don't like being an American citizen. I do. I mean, I think the original idea of, the Constitution and so on makes sense, okay? But like I said, sadly, we have people in this country who don't even know how to apply it or what these things really mean, okay? Because if they did, they wouldn't be squashing out the rights of other people, period. So anyway, that was my thought. And, I was thinking today how January completely, came and gone, and I didn't follow up on that video, the targeted individual video related to human trafficking as well as stalking month, okay? Because apparently these two particular issues are acknowledged in January, specifically acknowledged in January, okay? Obviously, it's a year-round problem, but it's something that mostly, I guess, is a month that's reserved for that, where people might be having more programs and issues and talking more about it. Well, I let that kind of slide. And first, I was really hard on myself about it. I really thought a lot about it, and I kept thinking, it doesn't matter. And it's not defeatism, but it's just why exert your energy for something that people don't care about. And it's sad that they don't care about it, because it's life-saving, okay? But people aren't interested in that. They're not, okay? I see how selfish this world is. I see how it's like they don't understand. Like it goes in one ear and out the other. Or maybe it's because I also believe that it has something to do with the fact that people benefit tremendously from this in ways that may be illegal, perhaps, maybe. Certainly advances people oftentimes who are not as experienced or knowledgeable. That's why you get people who, let shit like this slide, and people who understand certain things don't get the advancement or the acknowledgement that they're supposed to. Oftentimes people who are really good at their job are the ones who get mobbed out of the job. And the people who are crooked, just somehow thrive. It just is that way. So I've come to the realization that we live in a corrupt world, okay? And that's not to say that I don't believe that things can get better, but my question is, how would it get better? How can it get better? People have to care. They have to be able to understand that this is what this really is, and there's plenty of information out there. And in the back of my mind is this society that stupid that they can't put this together and see what this is wrong? And do they know that it's wrong? Do they care that it's wrong? And if they do care that it's wrong, what are they going to do about it? If they don't do anything about it, then we have to accept the fact that this is just one of those corrupt deals, and that, there is no hope for the future of certain people. That's a very deep thought, but it's something that I've considered. I do, think that human trafficking and stalking is a very important issue. Okay, I'm just as, I feel just as strongly as I have before. But my issue is that, can you make people care about something if a system thrives and benefits from such corruption? That's my question. Now, obviously, I'm not somebody who is, I'm not like, a Rockefeller, or I'm not like somebody who has like, an abundance of wealth or anything like that. Okay, I'm just in the grand scheme of things, I'm just a person who just does office work. Okay, but but when I think about how widespread this is, people who get knocked off the block, who are in far better positions than I have been or whatever, I often wonder, this is a system that does not appreciate, that sort of thinking. People don't appreciate, rules. They don't appreciate regulations. They don't appreciate things that are supposed to be in place. So what can you do? It's not that these people don't know, they just don't care. Okay? You can't make people care. That's my biggest issue. So anyway, I'm going to take some time out and look at this FISA issue, and then maybe, if I have time, which I probably will because there's nothing else to do. I have worked on art projects today, and I have been buying things for my house. I bought some curtains, and I made some new chair covers, which I would like to replace my table eventually, okay? But, for now, it's okay. I will show you what I did. If you can see my little table over there, I made new table covers. I was looking for maybe a brighter color yellow, but unfortunately, that's all they had. So I was just like, okay, whatever. Broadcloth is super cheap, and so I just made it out of that. I really wanted something better, but that's life. So anyway, I bought some curtains, and I bought a television, which, I'm not going to start watching TV. I'm not going to subscribe to cable, but I am watching things like Netflix and stuff like that, But anyway, I will be back with another video after I, get some information on FISA and, tell you what my thoughts are on it. Do I hold out hope for it? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? It's very hard for me to be optimistic in a world that's just so corrupt, people could acknowledge the issues, they can pass bills, they can do whatever, but I do also know that bills and laws usually always really have to be a unanimous vote in order for it to be put into place, and obviously, if you dissect it, that's already happened, but do people care? That's the question. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I'll be back with another one later. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.